A quiet, foggy scene within a forest. A simple tent made of cloth is pitched a pink rabbit sniffs at something emitting smoke from a small container near the tent. Inside the tent, Arthur sits cross-legged, asleep with Tesha in his lap. Arthur reflects on their long journey, where unfamiliar landscapes continue to appear before them. An overhead view of Arthur and a gray-haired girl, Tesha, walking through a dense forest. Arthur leads, carrying a large scroll on his back, followed by Tesha. Arthur and Tesha walk side by side in the forest. Tesha shyly holds Arthur's hand. She seems awkward interacting with him now that she's no longer afraid and desperate. Tesha smiles shyly while hugging herself, wearing a black fur cloak. Arthur and Tesha walk in the forest as the sun sets. Golden sunlight filters through the trees. Arthur feels restless due to his concern for his family and his desire to return home. He sets up the tent while Tesha lights a campfire. Arthur experiences excruciating pain from his core. He groans in agony, clutching his stomach, tears streaming down his face. Tesha asks if he's alright. Arthur weakly replies that he's fine, but Tesha looks worried. Night falls. Arthur still clutches his chest with a pained expression. Morning arrives, and Arthur suggests they continue their journey. Suddenly, they are surrounded by wolves, but Arthur uses magic to fight them off. Arthur's core pain becomes more frequent. Tesha kicks a small stone, saying she doesn't want to worry Arthur. Arthur contemplates telling Tesha about his pain. A dark scene within the forest shows the tent standing beneath the trees. Only the dark interior of the tent is visible. Arthur and Tesha sleep inside. A bright blue sky with a few clouds. Tesha is becoming more familiar with their surroundings, even though Arthur can't tell the difference. Arthur and Tesha continue their journey. Their progress slows because Tesha is struggling to keep up. Arthur takes Tesha's backpack and carries it for her. Tesha looks worried about Arthur while he tries to hide his pain. Tesha pulls on Arthur's jacket. She's thinking about something. Arthur looks confused. Tesha asks if she can call him Art. Arthur allows it. Tesha is surprised by his flat reaction. Arthur feels honored that she wants to call him Art. Tesha comments that Arthur talks like an old man. Arthur retorts that it's better than being a crybaby. Tesha gets annoyed and pinches him. Tesha sees something. Arthur replies, yeah, I see it too. Lots of moss, leaves, frogs, and trees. Arthur and Tesha sleep soundly. Despite their mental age difference, they are growing closer. Tesha touches the trees one by one. She looks excited when she sees something and tells Arthur they've arrived. A green light emanates from within a tree. A bright green portal appears. Tesha invites Arthur to enter the portal, extending her hand towards him. Arthur falls face first onto the ground after stumbling out of a teleportation gate. He groans, complaining about how much he dislikes them. Tesha approaches him, places a hand on his shoulder, and tells him they've arrived. Tesha helps Arthur to his feet. They stand before a large, blue gate. Arthur looks shocked as he takes in the view beyond the gate. A city nestled within a massive cave, buildings nestled among the roots of giant trees. The boy and girl descend the steps leading into the city. They observe several people dressed formally. Arthur thinks the place looks ancient. Arthur concludes that ancient is the only word he can use to describe the place, even though it doesn't quite capture everything he's seeing. Suddenly, a bright green energy erupts from a fountain in the city's center. The energy swirls and forms a vortex. The energy sweeps over the boy and girl, surprising them. A blonde-haired man emerges from the swirling energy, followed by several soldiers in black armor. They salute and welcome the girl, who is revealed to be a princess. Arthur is confused, wondering who these people are and where he is. Tesha turns and smiles at him. A soldier explains that they came because they detected the use of the teleportation gate. He also mentions the king and queen. Two figures emerge from a horse-drawn carriage. They are Alduin and Muriel Eralith, the king and queen of Elenwar. A white-haired man steps out of the carriage. He is Virian Eralith, the former king of Elenwar and leader of the last war against the humans. Virian approaches the boy and girl, bows, and then picks up the girl. The boy wonders how his parents would react if they saw this. Varian thanks the boy for helping Tesha return home safely. He invites them to his residence. King Alduin gives a command, his tone gentle but firm. Arthur feels honored by the invitation. Tesha excitedly pulls on his hand, eager to go and see everything. Arthur expects to see a grand castle, but reality is different. The building they approach is the royal family's residence, not a castle. The queen instructs the servants to prepare a bath and a room for Arthur. Arthur thinks to himself, what kind of fairy tale am I in? In a room, King Alduin, Queen Muriel, Varian, Tesha, Arthur, and several guards gather. King Alduin invites the boy to tell his story. The boy introduces himself as Arthur Lewin, from a small village in the Sapin Kingdom. He feels he needs to act mature so he isn't underestimated. Arthur begins to recount his journey, explaining that he was separated from his family after encountering bandits. He only tells part of the truth. Arthur continues his story, telling them about meeting Tesha and how it changed the attitude of the people he was with. Hearing Arthur's story, King Alduin becomes angry and mentions slave traders. He suspects humans are behind Tesha's kidnapping. Arthur refutes King Alduin's statement. He says that slave trading isn't a profession specific to any race. Varian asks how Arthur, being so young, could negotiate with slave traders. Arthur replies that he is a mage, and that's how he was able to save Tesha. One of the guards doesn't believe him and accuses him of lying. Arthur remains calm and says that Tesha has returned safely, whether they believe him or not. He states that all he wants now is to return to his family in Sapin. Tesha asks, surprised, "You're leaving already, Art?" The silver-haired, pointy-eared man asks, shocked, "Art?" Art says to Tesha, after you all know the story, I don't think it would be appropriate for a human to stay here for long, Princess. Art continues, besides, my priority right now is to make sure my family is safe and let them know I'm okay. The man says, putting aside our kingdom's past, you saved our daughter. And on top of that, you escorted her here, which entitles you to proper compensation. He continues, unfortunately, the teleportation gate that connects to the Sapin Kingdom only activates once every 7 years during the conference between the three races. It'll be another 5 years until it opens. He concludes, however, we will gladly send a group of guards to escort you home safely. The man continues, I'd also like to offer you our hospitality. Some of us are tolerant, but some still hold a grudge against humans because of the past war. So for now, make yourself comfortable. We'll prepare your departure for tomorrow. Art replies politely, thank you very much. Art is in a luxurious room and says, I'm too tired for this. He takes a shower. Art feels something and says angrily, damn it, it's getting worse. Art sits on the sofa, holding a red orb of light, and says, I don't know what to do, Sylvia. I wish you were here to help me. Someone knocks on Art's door and Art tells them to come in. Tesha bursts in and pushes Art, causing him to fall. Tesha says angrily, idiot. First you're cold to my family and now you're leaving. Art replies, I wasn't being cold, Tess. I was just being respectful because ... You know, they're the king and queen of this kingdom. Why didn't you tell me? Tesha just laughs and Art replies, don't just laugh. Tesha says sadly, still, I don't want you to leave. You're my first friend. Art hugs Tesha and says, come on, crybaby princess. Art releases the hug and says, give me a tour of the castle. They walk down a castle corridor and Tesha says, this is probably my favorite spot in the castle. If you stay until spring, you can see the flowers bloom here. They arrive at a garden and Tesha says, at least you can see a lot of light. Look, it's beautiful, isn't it? Tesha shows Art the light in her hand. Art reaches for the light, but suddenly a knife flies towards him. Art pulls Tesha back and catches the knife. The grandfather attacks Art and says, hello! Art is shocked and says, what the heck? Are you trying to kill your own granddaughter? The grandfather says, that might weaken her, but I doubt that toy you're holding could kill anyone. Art looks at the object he's holding and says, "I've been tricked." The grandfather continues, "Excellent reflexes and instincts. To think you would catch my little gift and use it against me." The grandfather continues, "Your mana usage is mediocre, but I can see how you killed those slave traders." Art thinks, "This old man is missing a few screws." Tesha shouts, "Grandpa, stop bothering Art." The grandfather says, "Bothering? You should know why I'm here." Art wonders, why is he here? The grandfather says to Art, "It's been a while since I've met someone interesting." The grandfather throws a wooden sword at Art and says, "Let's see what you can do, boy."